Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you're connecting from. My name is Jamafu, and welcome to the Motivated2Inspire Podcast. This is where I get to interview guests who are doing phenomenal things in their lives and to give them an opportunity as well to share with us and stuff that we can learn from them as well. So today, our guest is a good friend of mine whom I met, I think, almost 6 years ago now. And first of all, he's a great guy. He's married to a wonderful wife. So ladies, I'm sorry he's taken. If you had any ideas. One of the things I admire about him is his commitment to excellence and the way he's successfully managed to switch careers. I know during this pandemic, in this COVID era, a lot of people maybe have lost their jobs. Some have been forced to make tough decisions and stuff. And I felt Munya might be one of those guys to actually share with us from his experiences how he successfully managed to navigate that journey. So I think what I can do before he starts sharing with us, I'll give you a bit of his background. He's got experience in various sectors from manufacturing, insurance, finance, telecommunications. He holds a master's in business administration degree with a focus on management which he did with the University of Nicosia in Cyprus. He's also got a bachelor's degree in business administration as well, which he did with Solusi University. He holds professional certificates, one in proficiency of insurance practices with the Insurance Institute of Zimbabwe, and an award in financial planning with the Chartered Insurance Institute in the UK. And some of his experience as well is he's skilled in new business acquisition and development across the African continent, managing branches, dealing with a whole lot of stakeholders, marketing events. He also successfully set up 3 product lines for Fidelity Funeral Assurance, developed an offshore investment market in Namibia, which is really impressive. And with Econet, one of the top telecommunications company in Zimbabwe, he set up evaluated services service in that organization, specifically for mobile news. So there's a lot more to him, but I don't think I should just stop there. I think I'll give him the opportunity to tell us more. So maybe just to start us off, maybe Munya, just tell us about yourself, how you got started was it insurance, first of all, that you got involved in?
Yeah,
finance and insurance. Just tell us a bit about yourself and your journey getting started in that field.
Yeah. I'm glad it doesn't have to be from cradle, and we can always start from right after university. I think that's where we can begin that this conversation. Thank you again, Sia, for inviting me. I appreciate it. It's always an honor to be able to talk to people and communicate some of the things that are affecting us as young people. And clearly, from what we've seen in life, there's a lot of uncertainty, and change is the only constant, if I may retort the cliche. But what I want to say is, even though it is like that, there's hope, there's a future. And all you need to do is to put your mind into it and say, if I'm in this position, how do I best move myself to the next position and be able to do the best with what I have? I'll take you straight from college. I finished university. That was University of Solusi, where I did a bachelor in business administration. It was a major in management. I had a minor in marketing. So it was something that I always liked. I loved to manage and to sell things right from the beginning. Straight from college, from university, sorry. I went to Fidelity. That's where my very first work opportunity ever came. I was a research assistant to then marketing manager for life. But when I say life, I mean someone who's selling life insurance, such as funeral cover, such as life cover, and so forth. So I was working as a market researcher. So what we used to do is we used to go into the market and get more Machipisa, corporate sectors, and then we just get surveys and information, we do data analysis, and then we forward it back to the manager, who then makes an informed decision based on what we would have gathered. So from there, that's when I discovered a liking for data analysis, which you see will play a role right up to where I am presently.
Okay.
So what happened is, from a research assistant, worked very hard up till Fidelity were like, you know what, we like the way you work. We've worked for each other, because I was there for like 6 months as a part-time contract job. Yeah. Okay. So 6 months. Then they brought me in as an officer. So I was as an assistant officer in business development, which was my very first permanent or contract permanent placing in Fidelity. Yeah. So in there, I learned quite a lot of insurance under my then manager. And I acquired a lot of knowledge in terms of pension planning, in terms of life planning, in terms of funeral cover, and just insurance in general. That's when I decided to further myself by acquiring a COP, Certificate of Proficiency in Insurance, so that I get a better understanding of what I was dealing with. And in that alone, it would have opened up other opportunities like promotion and so forth. So I learned a bit of that. I had quite a stay there. I think it was like 4.5 years straight after college, where I came to the end of that road. But what actually transpired was, I felt that I had done all I needed to do in that particular environment. Right. I had come from being a research assistant to being a middle level manager. And I just didn't want to go up the corporate ladder. That was just never me. So I felt like I now need the next best thing. So from the corporate sector, I was like, let me try something in the entrepreneurial sector. By that I mean a smaller firm, a small to medium enterprise, where I worked for a company called New Happenings, where I did marketing. I was the marketing manager there. It was a manufacturing firm. It dealt with leather products, goods and materials. It had a niche market. It used to export outside. So that was my first interaction with dealing with an offshore or outside market, which again, people might fancy, which is something that also then played a role on how I began to evolve as an individual. So I was there for about a year. And then from there, I then went to De Beers, Zimbabwe. Now, how I came about De Beers, Zimbabwe was an opportunity that I saw through a placement actually in the newspaper. And I was like, oh, well, you know what? Let me try. No harm in doing this. I actually applied for it. And then I went to an interview. They called me for an interview. We had the interview in Cape Town, South Africa. I got the placement, and 2 weeks later, I'm actually working for these guys from the time I saw the ad, interview, placement. So in there now.
That was very quick.
Yeah, that was very fortunate. I mean, that's where you see the hand of the Lord working in our lives.
Definitely.
We need to know that it was not by my own understanding that all this happened. I simply did what every other person would have done or should do when they want to actually advance in that way. But obviously, the Lord is the one that makes our paths straight. And He really did that for me in that particular instance. And the interview, they hosted everything. I mean, from plane tickets, hotel. It was as if they've already hired you before you hired. It was an interesting. It was an interesting experience.
The doors were just opened super quickly.
Yeah, the doors opened. Yes, indeed. However, I was there. I learned quite a lot on offshore markets.
Yeah.
So my first interaction with offshore was new happenings at a lesser level. Now all I had to deal with was offshore. So primarily they targeted expatriates or repats, people working in other countries, or people who have worked in other countries who just recently returned. So what we then did, you want to set them up mainly for a pension. and say, you know what, this is how long you're going to have a working life, from about 20 years to about 65. And after that, you're basically an autopilot. So it's what you set up now that's really going to make a difference. Yeah. So this is advice to each and every one of us to say, even though we're young, we're vibrant, we're working hard now, it's going to come a time when you cannot actually do it. So you're going to need to set up the foundation. It's going to carry you through all these motions of life post the work experiences. So I digress. Okay. So
no, it's
what
it's
then
totally
happened?
fine. I think that was a good nugget, really. Yeah. Sure. You can go ahead.
So, thank you. So what then happened is I learned a lot about offshore markets, and in it, I used to meet a lot of high-level business people.
Yeah.
One of them was a gentleman, because I haven't asked him, I cannot mention his name. I met this gentleman. He was actually a client of mine. And then he then advises me and says, I have this opportunity that I have. This opportunity will require you to actually step out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
I have this proposal that I have with Zimbabwe's largest mobile network operator, and I'd like for you to work with me to set it up.
Yeah.
So I looked at it and I was like, okay, this means exiting a stable, well-paying job and trying out something different and totally. I had never done telecommunications ever in my life.
Yeah.
The much I knew about telecoms was the cell phone that I had and how I used to use it. So I was like, oh, okay. So this guy, we had this frank conversation. He told me that in order for you to grow, you know the cliches. You need to expand yourself, stretch yourself, try something new, take it to the next level. When you feel uncomfortable, then you should know that now you're beginning to grow. So I took those words seriously. And I mean, what I now had was basically a qualification in insurance, and I got one at the VIA for that one in financial planning, because I wanted to understand how to actually financially help people plan. So it was an advanced certificate that I did. So so now I've got this insurance and finance background, and this person is saying telecommunications. I'm like, okay, how do you do this? So he explained the concept to me, which is basically what we call value-added services, or what I call digital services now. So basically what you're doing is you're selling products and services and on the cell phone. So if anyone has ever received a message, let's say, do you want to receive mobile news, for example, or do you want music on your phone? Yeah, not all of it is out, but yeah, that's basically what we do. Yeah. So it was from there that he was like, no, come on board, let's work together. I don't want to take you up as an employee. I want to take you up as a partner.
Okay.
And that was a whole dynamic from, I know that on the 25th, I'm going to get paid, to I need to work hard to ensure that whatever I am doing has a financial reward to it.
Yeah.
So it was a big jump, but I thought about it for about, I think, a month and a half. He kept knocking. It's like, you know what? I'm ready. So the reason why we had this, it was just the way that we used to interact. I was always frank with him, very honest with him. I never oversold or underpromised, or I always used to tell him as it is, and I always made sure that he gets the full picture of what's going on. So that was one of the things he had admired as a character or as a quality. And I want to share this why, because a lot of us as youth are beginning to turn to nefarious ways of just trying to do things. We're trying to shortcut a lot of things. What if I know Ningi? What if I know this person? What if I can do this? What if I can do that? How do I make money quick? You can make money quick, and people have made money quick. But if you're talking riches, yes, but there's an aspect of creating wealth.
Yeah.
Wealth is generational. Wealth transcends beyond you. Wealth is transferable. So if all that you're doing will end with you, then you are creating riches, not necessarily wealth, and they may not actually benefit the next person. By next person, I mean, if you're married like myself, I mean your wife, if you have children, your children, it could be your brothers, your sisters, it could be the one that is your dependent. You need to create something that can further take care of them, even in your absence. So it's about wealth creation. So I thought about it and I was like, I cannot, the norm when they say your child cannot inherit your salary, they can't.
Yeah.
It's true. They can get the payout, but that's all they get.
That's all they get.
So I decided, I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I wrote a resignation to my then boss. She was like, you know what? I understand this is what you want to do because we're also open like that. And she said, if it ever never does work that side, you're free to always come, and we can readmit you here. We've worked well together. We have no qualms with you. And that's basically we ended on a very good note. Like even today we still talk. So even if things go bad, which I
always got somewhere to go back to. Yeah.
But
that's good. I'm happy you shared that because I think what I see sometimes with a lot of young people, it's very easy to burn bridges because I think with a lot of youth, we've been through that phase as well, in that there's a lot of foolishness, kufurirana, as some would say, that, just cut ties with people and stuff like that. But the thing is, you never know what tomorrow holds, whether they might need that person's help again or not. So it's always good to live on the right note, and so that tomorrow you can come back if you need anything else. Yeah. Thanks for that.
Yeah, very important. That is.
Yeah.
So I then moved. So we started for the first 3 months. I actually didn't earn anything.
Yeah.
By earn anything, I mean I was basically taking my money and putting it into this project and saying, whichever way it works, I've already committed. So I have to make sure it works. It was not easy, very uncomfortable, I'll tell you that. When you're used to knowing that your money's going to come through and then all of a sudden it's just not, there's just no money coming.
Yeah.
It was very hard in the first instance, and it's the same year I decided I'm going to get married. So I went to Wola around the corner. It's a very slow start to everything that's going on.
Yeah.
I really felt like giving up at some point. I was like, you know what, that offer, I think I'm going to take it now. I was ready. I was ready to take it. I was ready.
Yeah.
But, he kept encouraging me, let's keep going for it. Soon and very soon, everything is going to come to fruition. I was like, okay, great. So we pushed, and before you knew it, things started changing. We had now an established base. We had a flow going. We had systems set up. We had done everything above board. That means we knew that our entry into this new arena did not hold any so-called strings attached, which is very important because the way you enter into something is highly most likely the way you're going to maintain it. I mean, my Pastor Tom always says it.
Yeah.
And it's a very true statement. If you buy your way into a contract, believe me, to stay in there, you're going to have to keep on always paying someone or something.
Yeah.
Greasing it. But alternatively, you could try to enter the right way. You get in. If you're in, you're in.
Yeah.
And that dynamic is very different from the one where you have to do something.
Yeah.
Unlike where you can always say appreciate people and say thank you. We work together, Christmas, Easter, things like that. I'm saying this because a lot of us now believe that the only way we can ever do anything is you need to pay someone or you need to know someone, or you just need to do something nefarious, as I said. But it really doesn't actually have to be like that. You can still ask the Lord before you do anything and say, Lord, lead me as I walk through this valley of the shadow of corruption. I will fear no, you know, and do the right thing. It will reward you. And from there, so now I'm in the telecoms mix. I'm deep in it. I've learned value-added services. So what happens is what we then did is, having realized that there was a whole lot of opportunity, especially in software development and the agriculture, banking sector. We just made a decision, guys. Let's expand. Again, this is a new area for me. I've never actually been a software engineer, developer by any means. Closest I have to it is my laptop, the one that I use. But, you know, again, stretching yourself, accept that you can actually try things that focuses specifically on software development. And we just decided to go harder. Things were being said, this doesn't work, or this economy won't allow, businesses are closing. We tried it out, and doors were opened. Those are opening. Even now, it's just, I mean, most of our work is actually work that you can do at home. So it literally started working from home like when we opened up. So by the time everyone else joined us, I said, you guys joined us. We
seem to be
been something that we've been also assist when giving.
I'm losing you again.
Sorry.
Can you still hear me?
Am I back?
All right.
Yeah, I think
that's fine.
Yeah,
it's cool.
Right. Yeah. All right. So that's basically how I then began this whole new arena of software development. We work with these guys, doing an exchange knowledge. We now have a team here local, about 3 guys who we've been able to hire, employ. We've created employment. We've also been able to get a project in Lesotho. Unfortunately for COVID, we're unable to travel there or go start working on it. So we had to push the start date from like November last year. We put it in January. Now we have to put it in April, simply because, you know, just we refuse to say that this delay means it won't happen. It will happen. And we keep on growing. And my motivation to those who are actually listening is, there's no opportunity that you should never try. And when you go for that opportunity, go give it 100%. Don't hold back. Make sure you learn or take time to understand what it is that you want to do in this opportunity and how you can actually be the best of what you do. I'll tell you, for example, the other thing, when we're competing for it, we're competing against big companies, reputable companies. And we're this small little company in Zimbabwe, you know. But it's how we presented ourselves and the work that we've done before, how we used to conduct work with other people, which basically has emanating from the days where you need to have good working relationships with your immediate boss. Now it's having good relationships with your clients. And you just don't wake up one day with So yeah, I mean, basically the notion here is we should never be afraid to try out new things, even though they may seem so far from. Don't limit yourself. Don't think you cannot do it.
Yeah.
What you have. I remember when I was growing up, my father always used to say, I'll try and translate this into English. That I want you to give me the best of what you have, because you can never do better than your best, and that which is your best can make it work for you.
Yeah.
Okay. I've tried. It was but I tried.
Yeah.
And what I learned from it is to always give my best.
Yeah.
I can never do better than my best, but in giving my best, I know that I now know my limits. I now know where I can excel. And I now know a lot of things about other people as well, because when you give out a lot of effort, sometimes you get reciprocated the same and you begin to understand and learn.
Yeah.
Right now, we're now starting into tracking. We're starting, we want to do fuel at a later stage. But all these things I've never done.
Yeah.
But I've come to understand that for growth, you just need to exert yourself, even to things that you may not be familiar with, you have never done, you have never seen.
Yeah.
Open your mind. The world is a very, very big place. There's a lot of things happening in it. Ground yourself in Christ, because in as much as that is an advantage, that is a lot happening, it is also an enmity to you, because that can also usurp who you are and begin to cultivate something else within you. So, and a lot of people are lost that way, and so you need to set your solid foundation in terms of character, in terms of behavior, in terms of who am I as an individual, then what am I as a business person. And the two are very interconnected, but they also be distinct. We should know who you are by seeing the persona that you are, both in the business world and both, and also in your personal life. So basically, my encouragement of this one is just to say, when you think you can't do it, possibly you actually can.
Mm-hmm.
And the minute you just give yourself time to actually try it, you'll be shocked that you'll actually do very well.
Yeah.
And you may do better than what you thought. And besides, the Lord can bless you exceedingly abundantly more than you can actually ask for.
Yeah.
So if you move in with that in mind, knowing that I have the author of life behind me, I have the creator of heaven and earth behind me, then I have the master of commerce behind you. Then even as you enter the environment, I assure you, no mountain is too high, no river is too wide, So you will be all right. Things will actually work out well if you just let Christ lead and you do all the necessary preparation that you need.
Amen.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you very much, Munya. This was a lot of valuable information you've shared. I think, as you've already mentioned yourself, from what you were saying, where you started, that's one trait that I picked up, that you gave everything to what you are assigned to do. That's really a sign of faithfulness. And I'm realizing that as you are faithful with the little that you are given, God gives you a lot more to be faithful with. And as you said, if he's the one who's positioned you to do that, he's definitely going to be the one to you follow through on all those things.
Yeah.
So thanks again. And I think let me also give a shout out to Nikki, because I think doing all this crazy stuff, it really needs an understanding wife to do something where there's a risk of you might not make enough money to start and all that. So I think that speaks to the to the great character of your wife as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, if people want to like follow you online, where can they find you so that they can find out more about you? Yeah. And the other work that you're doing.
All right. Yeah. I think before I say that, you said something very important. The people you partner are very, very important.
Yeah.
If you want to do something and you want it to be Christ-led, make sure you introduce Christ into the setup. Yeah. If it's some people who are non-believing, make sure they understand who you are and how you operate. Best if you find yourself as a group of Christians or people with similar faith, to come together and push forward. But above all, like you say, like my wife is actually very phenomenal. There's some things that you're going to present to her and say, we want to try to do this, we're going to put this much, and it may or may not work. And you find someone who needs support to say, no, go for it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. That's important. You need to surround yourself with positive-minded people and partner the right people. And that way, I assure you that you will actually excel. You won't find me on many of the social media sites. I'm not on Twitter. I'm not on Instagram. I am not on LinkedIn. I'm not on TikTok. But you can find me on LinkedIn. Munya Muzanenhamo. You can find me on Facebook. Again, Munya Muzanenhamo. Yeah, these are the two platforms you find me. Yeah, or my email. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. For those listening out there, you'll also find the links in the description below, wherever you're connecting from. So thanks once again, Munya, and we wish you all the best in your endeavors. May God continue to bless the work of your hands, and we hope to hear more of the great things that you're doing. And we'll touch base again soon. Take care.
Yeah. So thank you very much for having me, and hope to see you guys soon.
Sure.
All right.
Take care. Sure.